After losing a confrontation against the Super Commandos, Mad Dog and Scorpion, the juices of destruction drip from the spiked tongue of the vile alien warmonger Red Falcon. Now he's coming back stronger than ever with a sinister plan that includes having his intergalactic warriors seep into the brains of the U.S. Army. To support his disguised forces of doom, he's recruited Jagger Froid, a demented alien from the Black Hole Galaxy. He has also shuttled in the Babula Destructoid Mechanism with its beam of death. With torrential terror about to rain down upon civilization, Earth's only hope rests with you, Scorpion, and your pal, the Dogster. And if your spread guns, lasers, flamethrowers, and mega shells fail to destroy Red Falcon's 8 levels of terror, including radioactive lava fields, it's all over, but for the shouting, the screaming, and the cries from a disintegrating world. Nothing ruins your day, viewers, like radioactive lava, especially if Konami has put it in a game called Super C that was released in 1990 and was also available on the PC and the Amiga and Virtual Console and Xbox 360. Anyway, Super Contra, the Alien Strikes Back, is what we usually don't call this game. It's a run and gun style game, obviously. You've probably seen it. It was originally released as a coin-op arcade game in 1988 and is the sequel to original Contra, and the second game in the Contra series released for the arcades. Like in the original, the game centers on the soldiers Bill Reiser and Lance Bean, who we know as their silly little names like Dogster, who are once again assigned to protect the Earth from an army of alien invaders. Game features standard side-scrolling stages as well as new overhead stages, in lieu of the original game's 3D stages. Like its predecessor, a modified console version was made for the NES, which saw release in North America as Super C, and in Europe and Australia as Probotector 2, Return of the Evil Forces. Probotector, by the way, being one of, I believe, 3 names Contra was released under. Contra, Grisor, I think Grisor was specifically to the UK, and Probotector more of a Europe in general. Both the arcade and the NES game have been re-released in various other platforms since their original release date. The arcade version plays essentially the same as its predecessor. The main difference was in its versatility. While the original had 2 different perspectives, side view and over-the-shoulder view, Super Contra replaces the 3D stages with top-view stages, similar to the overhead shooters Commando and Akari Warriors, which were also popular at the time. Additionally, the side view stages of Super Contra featured inclined surfaces, which were not in the original Contra. In the arcade version, the player can now control the height of their jump by holding the joystick up, and pressing jump will let you jump higher. Likewise, the player can perform low jumps by holding down right or down left while pressing jump. The arcade version is composed of 5 stages which span a military base, a jungle, and an alien lair. 1, 3, and 4 are all side view, 2 and 5 are top view. Like the original Contra, the player can upgrade their default gun to one of the following special weapons: the machine gun, the spread gun, the laser gun, the bomb gun, and the mega shell, which was launched by pressing the jump button in the top view levels. Unlike the other games in the series, the power-up icons now represent the actual weapons instead of the traditional letter-based Falcon icons. The player can upgrade their weapon by picking it up twice in a row. That's the arcade version. The home version, Super C, released in 1990, was followed up by Probotector 2 in 1992. The gameplay and graphics of Super C are similar to the port of the first Contra game. There are 3 stages unique to the NES version, though: a high-tech base, a mountain, and an alien nest, which are all vertical scrolling stages. The order of the latter stages and bosses are also slightly different, with new bosses featured in this version, including a new final boss. The NES version uses the same power-ups as the original NES game, but changes the function of the fire gun power-up from a gun that fires small fireballs that travel in corkscrew pattern, to a large projectile that spreads fire after hitting its target. The player can change this gun, charge the gun by holding down the B button and then releasing it, shooting an even larger projectile that passes through most fodder enemies and causes an even bigger explosion when it hits a large target. The rapid bullets, barrier, and special power-ups from the first NES game are also included in this game. The Konami code from the original was not included in this game. A different code was added, which gives out 30 lives in the Famicom version and 10 lives in the NES version. Like the Famicom version of Contra, the Japanese version of Super Contra has a stage select code that was removed from its NES counterparts, and all three versions contain a sound test mode. Like the first NES game, Probotector 2, the PAL version, replaced the main characters and some of the enemies with robots. That was done because the company that was releasing it, which was a German company if I remember right, has some censorship laws about violence against people by people. So they changed them all to robots, and hey, no problems there. A pair of computer versions of Super C developed by Distinctive Software were released in North America for the Commodore Amiga and the IBM PC, both by Konami in 1990. Despite bearing the NES version's title of Super C, the computer ports are based on the original arcade game. A direct emulation of the arcade Super Contra was released on Xbox Live and features enhanced graphics, remixed music, and co-op gameplay. The NES version also saw several re-releases. 2002 had a Konami Collector Series. Super C was released on the Virtual Console in 2007. A corresponding release of Probotector 2 was released in Europe and Australia. And the Famicom Super Contra was released for the Japanese Virtual Console in 2008. Both the NES versions of Contra and Super C are also included as unlockable bonuses on the NES DS version, of Contra 4. There's also a mobile phone version, but we don't talk about that.